Because future-looking statements are inherently subject to risk and uncertainty, our reminder is that you should make any purchasing or investment decisions based on products that are currently commercially available. Please welcome Principal Admin Evangelist, Salesforce, Jillian Bruce.
Awesome admin!
Hello, awesome admins! Come on! This is officially the closing party of Dreamforce. You can give me a little more than that. I know you're tired, but this is it. Hello, awesome admins! Yes. Thank you. That is what I'm talking about. That is actually awesome. I'm Jillian Bruce. It is my honor and pleasure here today to close down your Dreamforce 22 experience with the admin preview of the Winter 23 release. Who here has ever been to a release readiness live session online before? Oh, see, and now you are here in real life, RRL, IRL. This is going to be amazing. For those of you who have not been to an admin preview before, this is a really fun session. We get nerdy. You ready to get nerdy? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, so we're going to go over the best, well, we consider them the best, or the top features that we think admins need to know about in Winter 23. We're going to do live demos. There is a demo station here. Everything is live today. So please forgive us if there's anything that happens, but it's not going to be because we're awesome. And these are actually the product managers demoing and speaking to you who have delivered these features and whose teams have been working on these features specifically for you, which is really cool because you're then going to get the opportunity to ask your questions here in the room and online. We are still broadcasting this online as we do with every single release. How do you do that if you're online? Well, as always, use my favorite platform, Twitter, for all the things social. At Salesforce admins, use hashtag #SalesforceLive, or you can go to the Trailblazer community group that is for the Release Readiness Trailblazer community group. I swear I've known this. I've done this many, many times. In fact, this is the 20th admin release readiness. Amazing, right? 20th admin release readiness at the 20th Dreamforce. What a way to bring this amazing experience to a close. Okay, so enough for me. Let's start. Let's see what we're going to talk about today. We have 3 groups of features we're going to talk about. First, it's automation because, hey, I see Miss Queen of Automation here, Jennifer Lee in the house. Shout out for Jennifer Lee. How amazing did she do in the keynote this morning, everybody? Right? Then we're going to talk about DevOps Center, which is going to completely blow your minds on how you make changes in your org and track the changes. Ooh. And then we're going to talk about a topic that is near and dear to every single admin, permissions and user access. And we got a rock star lineup of product managers who are going to talk about. Let's start with automation. And to talk about automation, we have our favorite automation speaker on every Release Readiness Live, the amazing Diana Jaffe and Adam White. Come on up here, guys.
Awesome admin!
Hi, everybody, and thanks, Jillian. I'm so excited to be here in front of the live studio audience to talk about all things automation in the Winter 23 release. Now, we have heard a lot this week about the power of flow, but we on the PM team are also always hearing your feedback and thinking about how to make it easier to build flows, not just how to make flows more possible. And with that, in the Winter 23 release, we have 3 new exciting features to share that are all about making flows easier to use. Number 1, if you've ever tried to build a formula in Flow in the past, you know how impossible it can be. Well, now, in the Winter 23 release, we have an all-new Flow formula builder using that new Lightning Web Component. We have that check syntax button and everything you need to make building formulas easier than ever. Right, say with me, number 2. Those of you who've used auto layout early on, we heard your feedback loud and clear. We don't just have copy and paste anymore, which led to a lot of duplicate IDs. We now also have cut and paste available in auto layout, so you can move things around without worrying about duplication. And number 3, and my personal favorite, we have element search. So yeah. So now when you go to auto layout, you can hit that little plus sign and you'll get a search box, and you can search not just the top level elements, but all of your invocable actions, all of your subflows you can get to right from the canvas. So those are some of the ease of use features we have in Winter 23, but we've also been doing a lot to improve the power of flow. Adam, you want to show us a little bit of that?
Sure. All right. So who's ready to witness the dawn of a new era for screen flows?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to do a little bit of role play here. So let's pretend I'm an admin of a large org, and my users have been complaining about poor data quality and how long it takes to create contacts. Let's say we can solve that with some screen flow wizardry and Winter 23 features. We're going to create an automated contact creation process that quickly sets up the contact and its opportunity and account relationships. All right. So let's dive into Flow Builder. So we're going to open up the first screen here, and you're going to notice that we've doubled the screen editor size this release to give you more legroom to build your flows. So the first step in our flow is here. We're going to drag over our contact preferences field using the now generally available dynamic forms for flow. This is going to automatically take care of our field label and its requiredness, saving us time and future maintenance. So if I change that field in setup, it's going to automatically carry over when I run my flow. So speaking of running our flow, we're going to go over to an account record, and we're going to run our flow with a quick action. Look at our lean, mean contact creation screen. We've got contact data on the left and role data on the right. Two different objects all in one place. This is going to make our lives so much easier, especially for our end users. So we're going to fill in some contact data here on the left. Then we're going to select a few roles. And then, using conditional field visibility, we're going to expose an entirely new section that's going to let our user relate multiple accounts to this contact. So we're going to go ahead and pick some accounts, and you'll notice something interesting. I'm selecting multiple accounts with our existing lookup component, brand new in Winter 23. This is going to make our process so much easier for our end users, and more importantly, faster. So we've got some accounts, we've got some roles. Then we're going to have our flow go out and get some opportunities based on those accounts that we just picked.
Hey, Adam, how are you going to go find all those related opportunities?
Great question. Let's go back into Flow Builder. I used our brand new in operator coming in Winter 23. So,
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. Just give it up. All right, so I used the actual output of our lookup component to find those open opportunities based on the account IDs that were picked, all without queries within loops, saving us from that dreaded governor limit monster.
All right, everyone, it's time for a quick story. Adam here was a Flow power user, he became a Flow product manager. And on his first day in the office, he told the whole team that this is the feature that we needed to build in Flow next.
I wasn't the only one. There were 17,000 ID exchange points.
All right, fair. Anyone else vote for it out there in the ID exchange? Yeah? Well, fun fact, he didn't just tell us about one feature that release. He actually told us about two. You mentioned.
That's a great question. It's actually hidden right here on the screen. So who's ready for me to hit yes?
Ready?
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah? All right. Boom, a native data table. Yeah.
All right.
Come on.
Come on. Yeah.
All right. So for those that aren't familiar, a data table is basically a way to embed a selectable list of records on your flow screen to give your users far more context to make decisions. And I also just want to take a moment to thank all the partners, ISVs, and open source contributors that have made this possible in the past. We could not have done this without you. It's beta in Winter 23. Give it a whirl. Let us know what you think. All right, so back to our flow here. We're going to select some opportunities and an opportunity role that we want to assign to this new contact. Then we're going to hit Confirm Role. And you'll notice in the last screen we use data table to select records. We can also use its view-only mode to present a nice confirmation screen to the user before we actually update or create any records in our flow. So we're going to go ahead and hit Create Roles. And then boom, we're done. In one quick and easy session, we were able to create 8 different relationship records, saving time and potential future data quality issues. If we were done this without Flow, it probably would have taken 6 to 7 times longer, and we could have opened ourselves up to data quality issues. All week, I've been asked, Adam, how do I get a better data quality process in my org? Screen flows. That's how you do it.
That's so awesome. I love how Adam combined how many objects we saw: contact, opportunities, accounts, and then all those role relationships, but it was all in one really simple, easy to use place for our end users. So Adam, is that it for fan favorite features in the Flow release?
Is that it? Come on.
No.
All right, yeah, I got one more. All right, let's go back into our first screen here. I'm gonna click that contact preferences field that I dragged over with dynamic forms for Flow, and you notice this little nugget right here. Pick list values are now filtered by record type.
Yeah.
All right, now we're done. Back over to you, Diana.
All right, everyone. Well, I think we fulfilled Adam's wish list in the Winter 23 release, but we also want to hear from you if we fulfilled your wish list. So those of you, you can go live to Twitter at Salesforce Admins, no I, and we're going to have a poll so you can vote on which of these is your fan favorite feature, and we're going to check back in with the results a little bit later on.
Get those phones out.
So let us know which one you like the best. All right. So I can't come on any Release Readiness Live without talking a little bit about retirement. All of this awesome investment in Flow does mean that we're not able to support workflow rules and process builder forever. The big update in the Winter 23 release is you're no longer able to create new workflow rules. You'll still be able to edit your old ones and activate them or deactivate them. You can still move them between orgs or install packages, but we really don't want you to invest net new automation into a tool that we know we're going to retire. As I like to say, there's never been a better time to go with the Flow. And that's because we aren't the only ones going with the Flow these days. If you've walked around Dreamforce this week, I'm sure you have seen Flow everywhere. And we are also doing a ton to invest in Flow connecting to the wider Salesforce ecosystem. We're doing a lot more to bring MuleSoft closer to Flow. We have Flow embedded in Slack, so you could see a simplified version of that awesome Create Contact screen that Adam did and embed it right from Slack, so your users don't need to log into Salesforce at all. And we have Flow orchestrations, which is like flows on top of flows to orchestrate multi-user, multi-org business processes. And last, but certainly not least, if you tuned into the dev RRL earlier today, you saw some of what we're doing to connect Flow to our pro code users as well, with being able to call invocable actions directly from Apex and embed your screen flows as an LWC. So I could stand here on stage and keep talking about Flow for the rest of the night, but I don't think they're going to let us stay here that long. So we actually have a separate dedicated Flow Release Readiness Live session that'll be available online early next week on the same playlist that this one is now. You'll hear a lot more about orchestrators. You'll see a demo of that Flow on Slack we talked about, and we'll get to things we don't even have time for today, like no-code testing for flows, so be sure to check that out as well. I'm so excited for everybody to get hands-on with the Winter 23 Flow release. Back to you.
It's okay, give it up. Give it up for Diana and Adam. Woo! And that's some pretty incredible Flow. They're letting it flow, are they not? Sorry, I had to do that. Reminder, please ask your questions. You can go online to @SalesforceAdminsNoI, use the hashtag SalesforceLive, and go into the Trailblazer community in our Release Readiness group and get your questions going. If you're in the audience, start writing them down, saving them up, because we are going to have mics coming out to you in the audience. Okay, now the next section that we're going to talk about today is DevOps Center. This is going to be amazing. This is really going to transform your change management experience that you do right now. And to talk about that, we have the amazing Karen Fidelic and George Murnock. Come on out, give them a warm welcome.
Awesome admin.
All right, thank you, Jillian, and I'm so happy to be here today to talk to all of you about DevOps Center, which is our new product that's going to make managing your changes and releases so much better. So DevOps Center is all about bringing modern change and release management to your experience and your everyday life. This is about bringing click-based interfaces to help you through that lifecycle management process. Said another way, this is about delivering, finally, that improved experience to provide an alternative for change sets. Woohoo! that I know you've all been waiting a really, really long time for. So DevOps Center is going to help you manage and track your changes automatically as they're made. We're going to tie those to a work item object so that you can see the status of those changes throughout your entire life cycle. We have a seamless integration with source control, specifically GitHub, to allow you to adopt modern technologies like version control. We have a configurable pipeline, which is going to allow you to, through clicks, move your metadata from stage to stage, from development through testing and into production. And unlike change sets, DevOps Center is now fully compatible with Salesforce DX, which is our methodology for our more pro code and high code users we've had for several years. So now you can work alongside those pro code users who may have already adopted Salesforce DX, and everybody can work collaboratively. We're now going to show you how you can start using DevOps Center today. George, are you ready to kick us off with this demo?
I am, and thanks, Karen. So first, I'm going to show you how you can find DevOps Center in your orgs. You can see here I am in Setup Home. I'm going to do a search and quick find for DevOps. There's our entry. I'm going to click that. This is the DevOps Center setup page. From here, you can enable the DevOps Center and install our package into your org. There's a couple of additional steps that are well documented in our help. Once those steps are complete, you'll be able to find the DevOps Center right there in your app launcher. When you launch it, you're taken to a project list view. Now, this is where you define your projects for your app, and also note that each project here has a corresponding GitHub repository URL. Karen?
Yeah, so this is a really important point, which I want to just reiterate here. Source control is now a foundational and fundamental piece of this experience. But we have made it really easy for you to adopt. So even if you have no experience using source control, you don't necessarily know how it works underneath the hood, you can adopt source control with this product, which is going to allow you to take advantage of those benefits that come with it. Namely, keeping your source managed in an external control outside of the org, collaborating with other members of your team, and taking advantage of continuous integration and delivery, otherwise known as CI and CD.
Each project also has a pipeline configured. I'm going to drill into a pipeline for a particular project. Here we can see how you can structure your deployment pipeline for your business processes. Optimistically, you'll have some integration testing environment, user testing environment, potentially a staging, and ultimately a release environment. You get to define and configure this for your processes. You can also see here I've got a couple of development environments identified. We're going to come back to those in a bit. Over here on the Stages tab of this view, then, is the active view of where your work items are at any given time throughout your pipeline that you've defined, the stages. And now that I've mentioned work items, I guess I'll go talk about work items. Click here. Work items are a task, essentially, a finite piece of work that you need to accomplish as an awesome admin or a programmatic developer. We drill into one of these. Let's take that one here. We can see some details about what needs to be done, but we can also see that this work item has been associated with one of those development environments that I mentioned before. And by clicking this link, it takes you right into that development environment where you can do your work in isolation. Here I have a flow. Adam, Diana have already demonstrated flows way better than I can, but trust me that I've created this flow, I've used it, I've tested it locally, and I feel like it's ready to move forward in the process.
So, how many of you here use sticky notes today to keep track of your changes as you're making them so that you know which metadata you need to put into your change sets? Or spreadsheets, or whiteboards? Well, we are here today to tell you how you can now ditch those spreadsheets, those sticky notes, through a capability which George is about to show us right now.
Okay. I can't wait to wow you. So here I am back in the work item, and I'm simply going to click this Pull Changes button. And what the DevOps Center is going to do is go query that development environment and update, show you just the things that you changed in that environment.
Yeah, so This feature is probably the most favorite feature that we're hearing from our early pilot and beta customers. So we hear from customers that this feature alone can save hours, days within a release cycle, not having to manually keep track and manage your changes.
And we talked about the source control repository at the beginning. We need to get these changes out of that org and into source control. And we can very easily do that by selecting the changes that we care about, providing a comment, a commit comment here, and clicking this Commit Changes button.
And again, just to reiterate what's happening here now, this is very powerful. This is allowing anybody on the team to now contribute source metadata to a shared team repository. Again, regardless of what you know about how that source control repository works, and all with simple clicks.
And while Karen was blathering, the DevOps Center went behind the scenes and did all the things that I said it was going to do and popped up a nice dialog that I hope you saw that says Commit Complete. And if you want to view those changes in GitHub, you can click this link right here on the work item. It'll take you right to GitHub, right to the changes that you've modified so that you can see the actual metadata behind your changes. Okay, back to the work item. The next steps are going to be to create a review, get somebody else on your team to review these changes. So you're going to click this button to create a pull request in GitHub. That's where you and your teammates can collaborate at a metadata level on the changes that you've just made. Once everyone agrees that this work item, this task, has been completed to satisfaction, we're going to click this Ready to Promote button. Okay, once that's done, you're done as a developer and an awesome admin. Now, you have to become a DevOps person. So we're going to go back to the pipeline view, and I'm going to refresh this page, and we'll see that the work item that we just created is now here in the approved work items column, ready to be moved through your pipeline. Moving it through the pipeline is as easy as selecting it and clicking the Promote Selected button. You'll be presented with a dialog that gives you some promotion options, including which tests you need to run. Select Promote, and off we go. I promise that work item is going to move from approved to integration.
Now let's talk a little bit about what's happening here. So this is another good example of how DevOps Center is handling a lot of the complexity for us behind the scenes. So we're now taking that feature branch that's associated with that work item, and we're merging that branch in GitHub into our integration branch. And then we're deploying from that integration branch into the integration org, so that we're keeping that source control repository in sync with that org and managing all of that branch management and deployment management for you behind the scenes, all with a simple click of a button.
That's right. And then moving your work items through the rest of the pipeline, exact same process. No surprises.
Exact same process. So let's contrast it with change sets really quickly. No more need to recreate those groups, those sets of changes as you're moving from one stage to the next. DevOps Center is going to manage all of that using the same centralized single source of truth from that source control repository. All right, thank you, George, for that awesome demo. Just to quickly recap, we saw in just the span of a few minutes how you can make changes in a development environment, automatically have those tracked, identify what those changes are, push those to a source control repository, create a review, and deploy those changes into an integration environment for more testing, all through simple clicks. Woohoo. All right, so this product is now available today in beta. Anybody can get their hands on it. It is available from setup menu in production orgs with Enterprise, Unlimited, and Professional Edition with API enabled. So go ahead, give it a try today. You can also try it in Developer Edition orgs, Trailhead Playgrounds, and even Scratch orgs if you want to just trial it out there. We are planning to GA by the end of this year. And I know that the burning question on many people's minds right now is probably, how much does this cost? I'm here to tell you that it is going to be included at no cost in those editions. All right. So final point here, if you want to learn more, we have a Trailblazer community group, which is really our one-stop shop for all product information related to DevOps Center. Please go check it out. We also have a very active community. You can engage with them. You can engage with us. We're closing in. I don't know 1,000 members out there for a product that isn't even generally available yet. So I encourage the rest of you to kind of go get us on over that hurdle of 5,000 and join our party out there. With that, who here is ready to say goodbye to change sets and enter the modern world with DevOps Center? All right. Awesome. Thank you all. Jillian, back to you.
All right, give it up for Karen and for George. See you change sets. All right, here we go. Moving on to the next category. Like I said, a category that's near and dear to every admin's heart, permissions and user access. And let me tell you, we have an amazing couple of speakers, product managers who are going to talk to you about this. We have the one and only Cheryl Feldman, who is actually delivering features she wanted when she was an admin, and Larry Tung. Come on out here, guys. Give them a warm round of applause.
Awesome admin.
Thank you, Jillian. Have a good Dreamforce. Larry and I are so excited to talk to you about permissions and user access today. So, in the last release Readiness Live, we mentioned to you that we're still on the path to end-of-life permissions on profiles. So we just wanted to quickly remind you what you should put in a permission set and what should still be on profiles. And I just want to be very clear. Profiles are not going away. They will still handle your one-to-one relationships. Feel free to take pictures of this, but we also have this in a great blog post on admin.salesforce.com. Now, the first question I'm always asked about when I talk about the end of life of permissions on profiles is, what about the field creation wizard? I am so excited to announce that in the Winter 23 release, you have the ability to turn on to set field level security on permission sets during field creation. This also works for the set field level security button on field as well. And don't worry, we have more coming for you on this in the future. The second question I'm always asked is, how are we going to move? Are you going to make us do all this work using the data loader or other tools? Of course not. I would never put all of that work on our awesome admins, because as a former awesome admin, I know how hard you work. I'm excited to announce that we have a new feature in closed beta called user access policies. What this will allow you to do is to set criteria about your users that is either entitlement-based, meaning your users are in a specific profile, assigned to a specific permission set, assigned to a specific license, and then you can apply access or even remove access. And so this will be the tool that we will give you for migration. Now, I want you to imagine for a second, what if we gave you the ability to have an active user access policy that when users were created or updated, that access could automatically be assigned? Would you like that? I am even more excited to announce that also part of our closed beta, we're giving you that ability. And so you'll be able to automatically assign permission sets, permission set groups, queues, manage package licenses from the App Exchange, and permission set licenses. Now, I know that will make you super productive. Speaking of productivity, if you haven't already tried User Access and Permissions Assistant, you should absolutely try this app now. This starts to solve your most requested idea for my feature area on the Idea Exchange, and that is reporting on permission assignment. And so what this allows you to do is to easily analyze and report on user access, and not only just analyze and understand what a user has, but understand how they got it. Now, before we jump into the demos and show you all these amazing features, restriction rules. When I was a customer, I wanted this feature so bad, and I'm so excited that we were able to bring it to you. And now we're making it even better in the winter release. We're giving you the ability to have an OR statement in your criteria to further secure your data. Now, I'm going to pass it over to Larry to show you these amazing features we have in winter.
Thank you, Cheryl. We're in Northern Trail Outfitters. They're Salesforce org, and they sell outdoor apparel and gear. Here we have Maria, our awesome admin, and she assigns permissions through permission sets. We're currently in user management settings, and she's going to enable field-level security for permission sets during field creation. Now, when Maria creates a new field, instead of seeing a list of profiles, she now sees the available permission sets. It's reducing just the number of clicks. Now, Maria, she also wants to start using permission set groups instead of assigning permissions through profiles. So we're looking at a user access policy, and Maria's first targeting those with the support profile that are active users. So here she's decided she wants to grant some permission set groups, permission sets. She can even revoke and remove permissions as well. So once she's created the policy, she can preview the users that are impacted, that based on the criteria. So here are those with the support profile. And let's just test this. We want to apply this policy on a few of our select users. And there you have it. There's the actions, the permission set groups, permission sets. They're all assigned now. Now, Maria, she doesn't want to just keep manually doing this. So whenever a user is created and updated, she now wants to have that policy be active. And what this will do now is then, for every user that's created and updated, it'll apply these permission set groups and permissions. This is going to save all of you awesome admins a lot of time. Maria, she also needs to troubleshoot access. So here she's installed the user access and permission assistant. Now, she's been wondering, she noticed Edwin, he's one of her sales users, and Edwin's been customizing Salesforce. So let's take a look. How is Edwin able to do that? So we got Edwin, we're going to analyze his permissions, go to his user permissions, and as Maria's looking around, whoa, hey, there's customized application. And what's more, Maria can click on the info bubble, and she sees it's the builder permission set that's given Edwin access. Now, Maria, she also gets some other questions. She's wondering, some people are asking her, who has access to a given record? And with sharing hierarchy is now available in 45 standard objects and custom objects. And it helps her with those questions. Who has access to a record? She sees the list, and if she wants to understand more, she can click view, and understand the reasons for access. Now, we're also trying to make the configuration experience easier for you. So if you're configuring both restriction rules or scoping rules, you can now put multiple values in the record criteria. So originally, the requirement for Maria was just allow her sales team to see a task with record type equal to sales. But her marketing team says, wait, we also need to do marketing. So let's do that. Let's update the restriction rule, and let's now take a look at Edwin's user. He's currently just seeing sales, but with the change in the rule, he can now see both sales and marketing. I want to show you one more feature. And so we're going to change orgs here. Now we're with Justin Chen. He's a relationship banker, and here he's deciding to filter based on scope. So here we're in a Salesforce org with Financial Service Cloud with branch management already set up. And Justin's told his admin, you know, when I'm focusing on a specific branch, I just want to see the accounts related to that branch. And so now he's currently at 1 Market Street, but now he needs to focus on the 415 Mission Street branch. So as he adjusts the branch, his expectation is he wants to also pull those accounts. And there you have it. Now he sees the records related to 415 Mission Street. So I'm hoping that you're all going to take advantage of some of these new features that are going to hopefully help your efficiency and productivity. And now I want to turn this back over to you, Cheryl.
Thanks, Larry. Weren't those demos awesome? Now, in release readiness tradition for Larry and I, we're going to share a little bit of our roadmap. So some things you should get excited for spring. User access policies, and forward-looking statement applies here. We're looking to get to an open beta, which means you can turn it on yourself. We're going to continue doing some work in the field creation wizard, and delegated admin is starting to get some love. And we're also going to be focusing on more true to the core features and listening to you on the idea exchange and in the community and on Twitter, and we're going to improve some stuff on sharing as well. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Jillian for Q&A.
All right, let's hear it for Cheryl and Larry. Cheryl, I'm going to have you just get right in the hot seat right there. Bring up our other beautiful, amazing PMs right here to get in the hot seats. As we get that, we are going to be going into your questions. So I know, with Release Readiness Live, we've always done taking questions online. We're now going to start taking questions in person as well. So reminder for everybody viewing online, use the hashtag Salesforce Live and tweet at us at Salesforce Admins. No I. There's no I in admin. And you can also post your question in the Trailblazer community group for Release Readiness. So with that, we're going to check in and kind of see what's going on. Everyone, I'd love to introduce to you our amazing dynamic duo there at the desk. We have Brittany Gibson and Jacinta Berg. Give them a warm welcome. Hey, Brittany, I'd love to know what's happening in the social world there.
Yes, the Awesome Admin community is pretty excited over on social. I actually just took a look at the poll on Twitter, and right now it looks like Data Table is in the lead for new favorite Flow feature.
All right.
We also have some shout outs for Diana and Adam for all the Flow enhancements. Powell says, filtering pick list values by record type, finally. And a shout out for DevOps Center. Heather Clemens says, woohoo! No more evil change sets.
I love it. I love it. It's always so fun to see all the exciting things happening on Twitter. But Jacinta, I bet we got some questions coming in on the Trailblazer community group.
Well, in true Release Readiness Live tradition, we have to start with a Flow question. So it seems like we're making significant investments in screen flows. Somebody is asking, can you give us a bit more of a sneak peek into what's in store for us?
Well, I think maybe Adam, who's sitting in their front row, he's the owner of ScreenFlows. He may be able to share a little bit more.
Sure. So I think probably one of my favorite features coming soon is something that you all may already be familiar with from a pilot called reactive screens. It involves basically, imagine you're updating one component, and then another component reacts to it. So think conditional field visibility, but on steroids. So imagine a scenario where you could fill in a lookup, click a button, and a data table fills in with potentially related records based on data on your screen. Does that sound exciting?
It's okay to clap, people. It's okay to clap. It's all right.
Yeah. So think bigger, more powerful screens and less reliance on the next button.
Excellent. Well, what a question to start us off. Now, we are going to also take questions from people in the room. We have two mic stands in the room. We have Lisa right there, and we have Mike, the mic stand right there. So come on up to the human mic stands, the Mike or Lisa, and queue up and ask your questions. Anything about anything you saw today upcoming in the winter release, please, or anything in general for these three areas of products. I know you got questions. You're all here. I see somebody coming up. Here we go. Also, a reminder, please continue to ask your questions online, the Trailblazer community group, and at Salesforce Admins No I, using the hashtag Salesforce Live. All right, Lisa, what do we got?
Hi, I am with Tom, and he has a question about...
When will restriction rules support formula fields?
Ooh, Cheryl.
I'm sorry.
When will restriction rules support formula fields?
I'm actually going to pass that to my colleague, Larry.
That's a good question. A lot of it's scale, so when we can get that to be performant, then we will do that. But we're trying to do some other things, so hopefully you won't need formulas. But yes, we know it's there, but not in the next year for sure. Not what you want to hear, but...
Hey, we tell the real story here in Release Readiness Live. Thank you for that, Larry. I would love to go back maybe to online. Do we have another question? Brittany, do you have something coming in via Twitter?
I sure do. This one is for Karen. What does this mean for the future of change sets?
Yeah. So we've built DevOps Center with the expectation that this will provide all the capabilities that you need to replace change sets. So we're hoping that everybody will not have a need to be on change sets anymore. Change sets aren't going to go away immediately, but our hope is that eventually we will be able to deprecate it. We will give you plenty of notice for that. And if there's any features that or reasons why you feel like you need to continue using change sets, we want to hear about it so that we can make that transition really smooth.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Karen. Okay, we have some people queuing up in person. I love it. Let's take one more quick question from online. Jacinta, do you have something coming in from the Trailblazer community group?
Yeah, why don't we stay with Karen for a second there? Will DevOps Center support other version control providers besides GitHub?
Yes, so we are releasing a GA with support for GitHub Cloud only. We will be quickly providing support for additional version control providers. And the next one that we're planning to do is Bitbucket. And then we'll be looking at GitLab and Azure Git are the two other ones that we hear a lot about. We also hear about enterprise and on-premise versions of GitHub and Bitbucket as well, so we'll be looking at that as well. It is basically the #1 barrier of entry for DevOps Center. If you're not using GitHub, you will not be able to use DevOps Center today, so it's our top priority to get those closed up.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. Okay, Mike, the mic stand, you have quite a queue behind you.
I do. Oh, hey.
Can we get a question
Yes, I
from
just
you?
wanted to point out that my line's longer than Lisa's. I also have stickers for when you ask questions, so you can come stand in my line.
I have admin skills kit playing cards.
Okay.
Oh.
Great. It's on. It's on.
It's a swag
I'm standing
showdown.
here with Jessica, who has a question, because we're going to keep the DevOps Center thing going. Jessica?
Sure. In the preview of DevOps, I saw that there were different stages, and you mentioned that you could do a commit as well as a pull. How about a diff? Can you see that, the branch diff in the Salesforce UI, or do you actually have to go to the GitHub branch?
So GitHub is going to show you the diff of the change that you're making. So within the XML, which is the metadata that's in that branch, you'll be able to see the differences in that pull request that we create. Is that your question? We're not doing a diff between orgs, so that is one thing people ask, but within GitHub, you'll see the change as part of that pull request.
So you still have to actually see it in GitHub. You're not going to
Yes.
see it in the Salesforce UI.
Correct,
Okay.
at this time, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for the question. Thank you, Karen. Let's keep it going in the room. Lisa, because you got playing cards, let's go to you.
Because I have playing cards. I am with Sarah, who has a question about DevOps Center.
Hot topic.
Hot topic. You showed during the work item approval, there's a path at the top. I'm sure that you've set the defaults to be best practices, but will it be customizable if you have a different DevOps path?
As far as like an approval process that's more customizable, yeah. So that is a roadmap item for us to allow some more flexibility and customization in that approval process. Yep. Not at GA, but later.
Thank you for that question. Okay, let's get back to our online viewers. Jacinta, I'm going to be coming back to you. Do you have a question from the Trailblazer community?
I do. Cheryl, one for you. When do you think user access policies will go GA?
So my guess is for GA, we have some more work we want to do. Like Karen was just talking about around approval process, we want to put governance around this as well. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be another 3 releases, forward-looking statement, somewhere between 2 and 4 releases. I'm going to say 3. But if you have a use case now that you're interested in looking at, please reach out to me because I'm looking to take another 20 to 30 customers into the closed beta, and I would love to hear your use cases.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, we're going to keep it to one more question from online because I know there's a lot of activity going on there. Britt, do you have a question coming in from Twitter?
I do. This one is for Diana. Yes, no decisions are available in radio buttons. When are we going to see buttons for such decisions in screen flows?
Adam, I think it's back to you
Adam.
again.
Adam, sorry.
Phone a friend. We're up here, but the hot seats are down there.
Right there.
Yes. So we are actually making some pretty good investments in choices and how we represent choices. So the short answer is soon, but not next release.
All right. Thank you. All right, let's get back to the room. Mike, the mic stand, do you have another question for us?
I do. I'm here with Marla, who partied it up with the Red Hot Chili Peppers last night.
Woo!
Like y'all did. She lost her voice, but she has a DevOps Center question.
So in the demo, you showed the pull.
Seriously, she doesn't take Dreamforce lightly. Come on, y'all, you still have a voice.
You showed the pull changes. When I click that, it's only the changes I've made. I don't understand that.
Yeah, so we're using the same source tracking capability behind the scenes that we use like through our CLI. And all changes that are being made in that development sandbox that you're using are being tracked. With that tracking, we're keeping track of who made the last change and when it was made and what type of change it was, whether it was like a new file or a change. So we're going to present you all of those changes, and you'll be able to see in that UI who made the last change. And you can select everything or just yours or whatever you want. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, let's keep it in the room. Lisa, back to you. You got a question for us?
I sure do. I am with Mark Jones, the Mark Jones, who has a question about permission sets.
Thank you. So I know we've talked about briefly at TDX, but I'm thinking for admins who are maybe a bit newer to permission sets and permission sets groups, what would you say, Cheryl, are the best practices for what should go in these things for those who are looking to start using them in their orgs a bit more effectively?
The question is about how to use permissions and permission sets groups more effectively for newer admins, correct?
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm having a little trouble hearing today. Here's how I recommend is your permission sets should be task-based, meaning everything you need to do to complete a specific task. Think about accounts. You need to be able to create accounts, you need to be able to edit accounts, you need to be able to potentially delete accounts, view all, modify all, then you have all your field level security. Now you're saying, wait, I don't want all my users to have that. That's fine. When you add it to a permission set group, you can mute the specific permissions that you don't want that persona to have. The reason why I recommend that, if you think about technology best practices in general, it's about having reusable technology. And so your permission sets become very reusable, where instead of having to maintain hundreds of different permission sets, this is the permission set to read accounts, this is the permission set to edit accounts, this is the permission set to delete accounts. You just have your accounts permission set, and then you can mute out from the different permission set groups what you don't want your specific personas to have. Does that answer your question? Okay, perfect.
Got a thumbs up, yeah. Thank you, Mark, for the question. Good job, Cheryl. All right, let's check back in online. Reminder for those of you viewing, you can ask your question using the hashtag Salesforce Live at Salesforce Admins, no I, and in the Trailblazer community group for Release Readiness. Britt, I'm going to come back to you. Do you have anything either fun, social, or another question to share with us?
Well, I think these questions are fun, so I'm going to keep rolling with that. We have a question for Karen, I believe, back to DevOps Center. In DevOps Center, can you change path names, stages, and DevOps work items and pipeline?
Can we change names of pipeline stages? Is that the question?
I believe so.
Yes, okay. So when you set up the project in DevOps Center, you're going to define each of those stages, and you can name those stages anything you want, and you can have any number of stages. You're going to define which org goes with that, as well as what branch in the source control repository goes with that. We also have the option to allow DevOps Center to create that repository branch. So there's a lot of configurability there. Work item naming, that comes up also. That is not configurable. The ID of the work item, we're just iterating on a numbering ID scheme there. There's obviously a title for that work item that you can control. But the name, like the ID of that work item is something that we're going to create automatically. Don't know if that entirely answered the question, but we can follow up.
Thank you, Karen. All right, Jacinta, I'm going to come to you. How about some Trailblazer community question there?
Well, usually Diana breaks the internet when we do Release Readiness Live, but I'm going to give Cheryl the honor this time. Somebody's just asked, are profiles going away?
Profiles are not going away. Profiles will, so what we're doing is we're going to end of life permissions on profiles. What that means is permissions will only exist on the permission set. When we announce this, I'm not crazy, I'm going to give you several years to migrate. Profiles will still contain your one-to-one relationships. Think about your defaults. So it's really your default record types, your default apps, and then think about like your login IP ranges and your login settings. Those things will stay on the profile. Now, the experience of those things, I think we need to spend in the future, spend some time on making better, because right now it's very, very time consuming and doesn't make you super productive. So I hope that answers the question. And if it doesn't, please tag me on the Trailblazer community and I'd be happy to have a follow-up conversation with you.
Yeah, in fact, you can tag any of these people, and they'll make sure to answer your questions.
Same.
Were you going to volunteer for that, Karen?
No, because I would just like to point out that Cheryl is, in fact, not the only PM in Salesforce that reaches out to her community. So, just for the record.
Yes, and a lot of PMs talk to the community.
Or Diana.
Yes. All right, let's go back to the room. Mike, you're looking at me like you got a question.
I do. I'm so excited because I'm with Nick, who has a non-DevOps Center question for the first time.
Karen, take a break.
We're getting DevOps all the time. So Adam, stand up. Get ready.
All right.
For the new data table, super hyped for it. When they select the records, does that come in as a collection, or is it a text string, kind of like the multi-select pick list?
I wouldn't do that to you. Come on. No, good question. So they actually have two different outputs. One is a record collection of the selected records, and there's also a first selected row, so that'll give you a single record variable to reference. And that's mostly for the single select mode. But if you happen to need it for multi-select, it's there if you need it. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. All right, I can't go to Mike and not go to Lisa. So, Lisa, you got another question for us?
I sure do. It's also another non-DevOps question. I am with Mark, who has a question about flow.
Will we ever be able to run a platform event-triggered flow in a system context as opposed to, say, a guest user context?
So Adam and I are not the only PMs here, so we may be phoning a friend in the front row there.
Who should we ping?
Henry?
Henry sounds like you're being voluntold.
Or not.
Can we borrow a microphone for Henry up here at the front?
Just want to say there's a lot of flow PMs out there. Can you guys wave in the front row? We have a couple others. So
Henry, say hi and introduce
to build
yourself.
flow.
Hi, everyone. Yes, so we would definitely want to do that. So it's on the roadmap, but currently not available yet.
You came all the way up here to say that?
Sorry. Sorry, Henry.
If you want to know more, but
now you know.
Tag Henry.
To corner.
Tag Henry.
All right, let's go back to our questions online. Hey, Britt, do you have any questions coming in via hashtag Salesforce Live on Salesforce Admins?
I do, but first, Jennifer on Twitter wants to know where she can get one of those Flonatic shirts. She's really jealous. But we do have a question for Cheryl. Is there a tool for migrating access definitions from profiles to permission sets?
So what user access policies does is allow to essentially move the user assignment. We are considering building something, I don't know what that something is yet, that would help you refactor your profiles into permission sets and permission set groups. But I would love for you to reach out to me so I can talk to you about your use case and what you would like to see there.
Cheryl's going to have a lot of talking to do next week. Hopefully you take the week off, so maybe give her a couple.
Oh, yeah, I'm taking next week off, so if you tag me and I don't respond, it'll be the week after next.
Maybe no product managers working at Salesforce next week.
But every product manager is connected with the community,
yes.
right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. All right, Jacinta, I'm going to come back to you for a Trailblazer community question.
Yes, so the breakout star of Release Readiness Live is DevOps Center. I've got tons of different questions. A lot of them boil down to how customizable is this in terms of clearing out changes, merging changes, and don't worry, we'll get Karen to answer all of these when you join her DevOps community and get over 5,000 customers.
What was the first, before you said merging changes, what was the other example that was given?
Clearing out unwanted changes.
Okay, yeah. So this is this I could answer this lots of ways. We sort of have philosophically designed DevOps Center to be fairly opinionated. Like part of our philosophy here is we're trying to guide you through a good, robust process. And so we are designing that in that way. But there is some level of flexibility and customization. In terms of like the changes, when the changes get pulled, you have the ability to select any subset of those changes to migrate forward. You also have the ability to go and select additional files that have not been denoted as changed by us, similar to what you do with change sets today. So you do have flexibility, really, a lot of flexibility in terms of what metadata you can put into that branch. The branching strategy is fairly well defined by us. So we have basically a strategy where we have a feature branch for each work item, we have a branch for each stage of the pipeline, and we're going to manage the merging of those from one stage to the next. There is no flexibility or customization of that branching strategy right now. You can create multiple pipelines and multiple projects to do things like create like a hot fix kind of flow, which some of our beta customers are doing. So a lot of our customers are starting to figure out how to sort of make it do what they want and need. And again, I think this is another good example of tell us what you need, tell us what you want to do, and we'll take that into consideration and make sure that we're solving all the use cases that exist out there.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. Okay, we're going to try and focus on the questions in the room because we only have a few more minutes here. So, Mike, what do you got for us?
DevOps Center.
What happens when there's a merge conflict?
Yeah, so we're leaning on GitHub to handle merge conflicts, basically. So the way the flow works is, again, as I just said, the branches are being merged in the source control repository by GitHub, and then we're deploying those changes from the source control repository. So the merging is happening at the GitHub level. If there are conflicts, GitHub is going to tell us that. It's going to spit out a merge conflict error, and we are going to present that to you in DevOps Center. All right, and so then from there, you can go right into the pull request from DevOps Center, see the change, address the conflict there, and then proceed. We are not going to let you proceed if there's a merge conflict, because it's not going to proceed because it's going to fail to merge. So our philosophy here, again, is we're not going to let you stomp on each other's changes. We're going to tell you when there's conflicts, and you are going to have to do something about that. But I believe that that's better than the alternative that we have today, which is everything just goes through and you stomp on each other's changes, and you find out about it really late. So, yeah.
Thank you for making sure we're all following best practices. I appreciate that. All right, Lisa, do you have a question?
I sure do. Another flow question from Nate.
Not a screen flow question this time. So replacing workflows with flows, we're now limited by the 5 email limit. When do you see that being raised, or other ways to work around that limit so we can send it to more than 5 people?
Yeah, so that is something we're still working on. We haven't made a specific announcement because we wanted to get it by this time, but we don't have it quite yet ready. So we are revisiting that limit, and we're discussing what we're going to do. I will say in the meantime, we've let our support team know that if there's those folks who have need of continuing to create new workflow rules until we figure it out, that we're going to be able to grant an exception and turn those back on for you. So we've kind of explicitly put that in support for now, and we'll get back to you with the long-term roadmap pretty soon here.
Forward-looking statements.
Forward-looking statements apply, everybody.
Okay, so I know that we have more questions, and I know we have more questions online. We are winding down to the last minute here, so I wanted to say thank you so much for asking your questions. Continue to ask them. As Diana mentioned, there's an entire Flow Release Readiness Live exclusive session happening soon, and if you want to show the slide, you can also follow this Learn More trail mix, and you can get all of the things that you need to get up to date with the release, including all the releases that all the resources these amazing people have talked about. Yes, get out the phones, do the QR code. You can also go to my favorite website, admin.salesforce.com, and you can find this really easily as well. This is what we do every single release. It's a really thoughtful, curated group of content to really help you get prepared for Winter 23. This is the closing party of all of Dreamforce, and I really want to thank you all for being here. It is not an admin session without a little bit of confetti. Seriously, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone for tuning in online. If you did not get your question answered now, like I said, there will be more further sessions to get your question answered. Please give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. This is the first time we did Release Readiness live at an event with an actual live human audience in person. So let us know. Let us know what we can improve upon for next time, because we would love to be able to do it again. With that, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.